Okay, there we go. We should be taping. Yep, there we go. Okay. Everybody lean in and say hi to Dr. Webb Drake.
Hey,
Hello.
I have to say hi.
I have a guy in here. Okay. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. My name is C.Hopping. This is for my oral communications class, and this is my persuasive speech. I am doing this on appropriate behavior in the workplace. Now, first thing I want to do is kind of ask you a little bit of a question. Have you ever walked into your workplace and had to say this? Stop it. Yeah. If you've had to say it, or if you say it like, stop it, then you work in a place that has inappropriate behavior. Most people don't even think about it when they get in there, but if it's inappropriate, it can lead to a toxic environment. The one things that I want to talk to you about is maintaining an appropriate behavior in the workplace so that the culture does not spiral down into a toxic area where you can become sick from it. The three areas that I'm really going to focus on is what is appropriate, because believe it or not, some people don't know. Also, how do you return a toxic environment to an appropriate environment? And number three, why is that so important for us? Now, to go on to my first topic, what is appropriate? I got this from the Commissioner's Guide for the Northern Territory, which is up here, if you want to look that up. According to this guide, appropriate workplace behavior is behavior that is respectful, fair, professional, and courteous. That sounds like a haven to work in to me. You know, it's a wonderful place to work. You enjoy going to work. You want to be there. It's a place where you can grow and you want your company to grow. That's an appropriate workplace. Now, the other side, what is inappropriate? And I received this from our good guys, the Department of Labor here. They know what's inappropriate. They know the harassment guidelines. Inappropriate behavior can include attitudes that bring offensive remarks, isolating people, making sure that they're not a part of the group. One more importantly that develops with your job is deliberately withholding information you need to perform a job, not training you correctly, not telling you what you need to know. All of these things are inappropriate behavior. The scary part is that these can also lead to more violent forms of inappropriate behavior. These are like the precursor to the more big stuff like sexual harassment, violent threats, pushing, intimidation, anything like that. That's more where you get into the harassment part of it. What I'm going to address today is making sure you get it, nip it in the bud before it goes there, before you get to that point. So now that I've established what's appropriate and what's inappropriate, let's take a look at how to bring your workplace, if you've gotten into the toxic inappropriate side, back to the appropriate side. How do you get it there? Do you walk up and just start bashing people on the head? No, that's inappropriate. You want to go to your management, address your concerns. Believe it or not, sometimes you can work in a place where this is just prevalent everywhere, inappropriate remarks, intimidation, all of those things, and the management doesn't necessarily know. They walk out there for 3 or 4 minutes, and then they walk back in their office because they've got 20 meetings and 50 pounds of paperwork. You need to let your managers know what's going on. Get them to where they're understanding this is prevalent, we need to address it. Secondly, you need to address it with your coworkers. Now, you want to be nice about it, you want to be appropriate about it. You don't want to come at them and say, hey, don't do that. You know, you need to address them respectfully. You want them to be respectful to you, be respectful to them first. Be courteous, always be courteous. You need to realize that some of these people are not raised the way you are. This might not be inappropriate behavior to them. They might not even think about it. They think, well, you know, we've done it like this for 20 years. Who are you to say? Well, in my space, I prefer this. Always bring it back to you. This is making me uncomfortable. I would like to see us more sharing, more appropriate, less foul language, those types of things. Always just bring it back to yourself. Now, when you do, like I said, when you speak up, be firm in your conviction. and hold true to it. If they say it once and you say, please don't do that. If they say it a second time, say, please don't do that. But be courteous each time. And thirdly, lead by example. Okay? That's another thing, that sometimes you slip back into your old behavior. You don't want them to curse, and then you curse in front of them. Double standards don't work here. You need to lead by example. If you want it to be appropriate, you be appropriate first. You bring that bar up there, they have to chase the bar. Okay? Now, last but not least, I want to show you some of the main reasons why you need to fight for a healthy and appropriate work environment. Okay, and I got the majority of these from Respectful Workplace Guidelines and from the Department of Labor. They've got some good stuff on that website there. Where do you spend the most time of your life? At work. I mean, you like to think you spend it with your family. That's when you're retired, maybe. Maybe when you're retired. Maybe you're busy when you're retired. But 9 times out of 10, you're at work 90% of the time in your life. If you're working in an environment where it's toxic, people are always coming at you, you feel like people are throwing you under the bus, that's 90% of your life in stress. You're always stressed out. You're always thinking, oh man, I gotta go to work. You don't want to go there. You don't want to grow there. You don't want to stay with this company. You don't want to be around your coworkers outside of work. So this creates a great deal of stress, and a great deal of stress that you're bringing home to your family. So you're not only dealing with the toxic behavior at work, you're bringing it home with you. So if you work in an environment that is appropriate, you don't mind bringing your kids to work. You don't mind saying, honey, we've got a family, we've got a work picnic, let's go. But if you don't, then you're not going to want to go. Stress really can lead to illness. Majority of toxic workplaces have a high incidence of short-term disability, of injuries. You're so distracted thinking about who's going to do what to me, you get run over by a forklift. Or you run into a forklift. You run into a wall. I've watched a guy walk into a pole. So these are things that it affects your entire life, not just your work life. So having a good, healthy, and appropriate workplace where you can go and feel safe and grow is very important to you. They help you be creative. You don't have as much sick time. You're not bringing sickness home to your family, and your stress level goes way, way down. Now, in conclusion, I kind of like to say thank you. Well, I've shown you the difference between appropriate and inappropriate behavior, a few ways to help your coworkers to come back to the appropriate side. Instead of being on the dark side, let's go back to the appropriate side, and an unmistakable need for a healthy and appropriate work environment. Now, I hand the baton to you guys. If your workplace has become anything goes, where you have to go in there and you have to deal with people, you need to bring that bar up. You need to say no. It's time for people to stand up and say, no, I'm not going to listen to this nasty story. I don't want to hear what your ex-girlfriend did last night. I want to be a place where I want to be there all the time. We need to bring this back. If it's gotten way out of hand, it's up to you to bring it back. Management can't do it by themselves. If they create more rules, people rebel. If you bring it to them, they're more likely to do it. It's time to raise the bar, and you are the ones to raise it. So I challenge you, raise that bar. Thank you. Everybody step in and say, bye, Dr. Dre.
Bye.
I can't imagine why you chose it.
I don't know why.
You just pulled it out of the air, didn't you?
It just came to me in a dream.
Wow.